control with the Clockwork. They've got excellent magic damage coming out of Leshrac. They're going to have burst damage coming out of the Lion. They're going to have sustained physical damage coming out of the Juggernaut. So you're talking about, you know, if you had one of those little wheels where everything kind of comes out and, you know, it's colored up like a pie and says, okay, this is what's best, this is what's best. This would be very symmetrical for Alliance right now, which is a nice place to be looking for this 5th pick, because now you can really just tailor that 5th pick to what you feel like you need to accentuate based on what NiP shows you. NiP, on the other hand, they're not that different. I mean, you've got Queen of Pain, going to have great magic damage, of course, great mobility, gyrocopter, sustained physical damage. We saw how good Hanskin was in terms of just managing. Yeah, Night Stalker pick. We'll get to that in a second. But how good Hanskin was on the Disruptor in terms of managing these fights in an AoE, and then you have a nice semi-direct counter pick in the Axe. So both sides really not going for gimmicks, instead just looking to outplay each other with good, solid drafting and lineups. The Night Stalker, though, that's a little bit of a wrinkle.
It is. It's so they're going to be running it as a support 4-position Night Stalker, most likely, unless Alliance is doing something really crazy. 4-position Night Stalker, it's really good versus Queen of Pain. If you're able to get just like level 2, you can easily put pressure on Queen of Pain starting at level 3. I think it's pretty decent against some of the other heroes. I like the tankiness of the Night Stalker. Right. I feel like his natural tank is quite good for the Gyrocopter, because you're going to be sharing that Rocket Barrage damage at that point. The Omni Knight last pick, though, Ninjas and Pajamas, it works really well with the Axe. You've got a lot of protection there for the Gyrocopter and the Queen of Pain against some of the like physical damage that they're dealing with. I mean, you throw out an Omni Slash, and then you immediately just counter with the Guardian's Angel as soon as possible. I still have to worry about the Leshrac. Pycat plays a really good Leshrac.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I was actually expecting not a Juggernaut, but a Slardar, just because he plays such a good Leshrac that I feel confident that Pycat would carry it for them, and then they could run like the Loda Slardar, which would be really good in getting in the face of the Gyrocopter. Juggernaut does something similar here, but there's definitely going to be more, I think, on Juggernaut to carry this game than necessarily Pycat. But I think through and through, it's still very dangerous leaving Pycat the Leshrac and not having any assured direct counters to him. They do have a lot of good ways to put pressure on him, for sure. Like, Axe is quite good versus him. Queen of Pain can be really strong. Gyrocopter is just a good mid-game hero who can tank up through SNY and BKB, so he's pretty decent. And then you got the Silence of the Disruptor. I'm just a bit concerned that when Guardian's Angel is laid down, it's going to be Pycat still dishing out so much magic damage that he may win the fight anyway.
Well, like you were saying, and just to build on that, I mean, he's got a ton of ways that he's going to work and function in this lineup, but they're very specific ways. He's not just a general value hero. He's a hero that's going to help you out in very specific ways. His laning can be abused a little bit in terms of his value in lane pre-level 6. He can be a little slow getting to level 6, so the options to rotate and to roam and to try to make things happen for Alliance, I feel like, are going to be there. You have heroes across the board, or at least in your cores. Leshrac, not so much, but the Juggernaut and the Clockwork that are tough heroes to kill off to begin with, so if you're NiP and you want to try to make things happen early, you know, the situation of 5-on-5 team fight, I think, is where NiP's going to want to go more so than just trying to carve the map up and look for isolated pickoffs. But Alliance actually can kind of pick and choose in that regard in a lot of ways. So NiP, again, is in this position where Alliance is going to be able to be a little bit more broad, but we saw in Game 1, NiP has no problem in adapting and making the right calls. Their map sense, their game vision, and so on is genuinely top tier, and it'll just come down to how both these teams play it out. So lanes are beginning to take shape, Cap, and what do you think of the laning phase and based on what we see so far?
So you brought up the point about Omni Knight in that he's like somewhat limited in his like laning phase power. It's like one of those heroes that you want to be able to get levels on, but he's also being a support. He's kind of greedy in the regard that he may not give you anything in the laning phase. I think the best situation to run him is usually dual off lane. And I'm a little bit surprised that Seal Kid isn't going to be sitting there with the Axe, but it's maybe because they realize that Alliance have changed things up. So Admiral Bulldog is going to be the safe lane with the Clockwork. Does have some backup from Mad, who's probably just going to be roaming most of the time. He probably just wants to soak up level 2. Maybe they get a kill on an Axe out of surprise, but unlikely, especially since Jonas Samfon does have that ward. But if he can get his level 2 or level 3 through pulling and soaking, he'll just probably roam as soon as we get to nighttime. And then they have Ake as well as Loda up at the top lane, but now they're going to switch it up again. Maybe they thought it was an aggro tri-lane, though. I just doubted that NiP would do something like that with a Disruptor Omni Knight. I feel like both those supports are too greedy and experienced to run an aggro tri.
Well, the switch is on, and we'll see how they want to try to handle this. Seal Kid had made his way down, as you mentioned. I'm with you, by the way. I feel like this is a much better situation for him to run in general. But I still just worry again. Like,
get a call.
He got him.
I mean, they won't kill him, right?
No, it's just wasted time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they TP'd Loda to bottom lane, then they're going to TP Bulldog up to top lane, so there's no one now to cover up that top lane. Even if it is an off lane, it's still a significant point. So that was actually, I mean, it's a heavy cost of mana for Jonas and Fawn, but I think it was worth it 100%.
Yeah, that's 60 seconds of downtime for Bulldog, basically. And in the early laning phase, and especially for a Clockwork, who really, before abilities get leveled up, before you start to see roaming, if you're going to run a solo offlane Clockwork, he needs to get a lot done in those first few minutes whenever cogs and being able to trap the creeps and so on is really so valuable. So yeah. I think that's 100%.
No, that's a very excellent point, right? There are other offlaners who wouldn't be hurt by that because the offlane would be kind of a dead lane for them, and it's just kind of like, okay, I can't push forward anyway, I'm not going to get anything there. It doesn't matter as much. Clockwork always has options as an offlaner. That's one of the big reasons he's so popular with cog blocking. He pulls the equilibrium back, or he's going to be able to contest the support play as well, because he is very dangerous in a one-on-one scenario against the support. So there's definitely many plays that Clockwork could have had. 60 seconds does hurt him as an offlaner more often than others.
Well, so far, taking a look at the CS, it's going to be a gyrocopter at 14, and a little bit of damage being done to Seal Kid. He will be able to heal himself up with the purification. He's got it skilled. In the meantime, Bulldog taking a lot of damage. He's just a fresh level 2 as well, so he's going to have to be careful. I mean, the kill potential in the gyrocopter in this patch because of the buff, the rocket barrage, is just absolutely gigantic. No kills on the board in the first 3 minutes, but all things considered, again, the lanes and the way that they're being managed right now. I mean, we could look at the CS and see it's kind of even across the board. Load is a little bit behind in terms of CS. He's a little bit behind in terms of levels. Do you think that this is a good status quo for both sides? Do you think one's going to look to make something happen sooner rather than later?
I would say that keep your eye on Mad as soon as we get to nighttime here. And I would also probably say that Ninjas in Pajamas are more likely to be the passive team, because I think they have good laning phase set up, particularly with their aggro dual lane, but also that they are a team that doesn't have a whole lot of roaming or changing up power, with both Omni Knight and Disruptor being lacking in their power to rotate around. They should be ready to TP middle lane, though, and look at what Seal Kid has. He's got a TP scroll, right? So he realizes, okay, Limp is probably going to be making that play. I'm going to sit on the bottom rune, and if they make a dive on our Queen of Pain, then we can go ahead and win that scenario with a heal turnaround.
There's the Knight. We'll see what's going to happen. And we can see Mad is, he's heading towards mid as we speak. Phase boots are done in gyrocopter in the meantime, and Mad just going to show himself. I'm not going to be too ashamed of it at all. Bulldog up at top, playing as riskily as he can, trying to get a little bit of pull action on and doing a fairly effective job at it. Mad's going to be hanging around now this mid lane and looking to make something happen. And let's see what his chances are going to be.
Lucian's to be able to spot him out. That's a one scenario for Ninjas in Pajamas quite heavily. This first nighttime, I think, is going to be super effective.
Call on the Loda. It's a purification afterwards. Very nice two-man Earth Spike out of Ake, and then the spin to win from Lodo, getting back to safety. But,
yeah, you don't need to kill the Juggernaut at all. You just put pressure on him with that play. So good read there. They just basically force out a spin. Big win for them. It means he's lacking in mana. They're also going to force out even more mana with the healing ward being used. I do want to say, though, that it's very dangerous later on into the game. The Juggernaut and Leshrac, as the Leshrac starts tanking up quite a bit, and he even gets like Octarine Core, which already naturally has some heal to it, and then you start getting the healing ward into play as well. The Leshrac can definitely be one of those kind of unkillable heroes if they're not careful. So they really got to keep an eye on that healing ward later on to the game. Make sure to snipe it out as often as possible, which NiP already know, right? Everyone should do that no matter what the circumstance.
Well, just coming back to the Lesh for a minute, I mean, his ability to, like you said, just be an immortal walking around on the map in the late game, and honestly, that can happen to you a lot quicker than you would normally assume. I mean, if he gets an early Bloodstone, manages to get a couple of kills under his belt, following that, and those charges get up there, damage output, it doesn't matter how good it is, if he's able to blow you up as quick as you can him, and he's got that much regen, he's just going to shrug it off. We've seen it a number of times here in the qualifier, so I feel like the mid-game damage potential, the ability for either one of these teams with even a little bit of a lead to really put the screws to the other side is going to be tremendous. Mad's going to come out and get what? Ooh. He just walked. I mean, I understand he didn't have full vision, but that was just risky anyway. Just walked down, threw out a void, and died.
He is pulling out the plays here. He actually got ahead of Bulldog with that one. TP out there. Oh, no, that's not going to work.
Oh, why did he do that? Why did he stop and try to do it there? He's being pursued. He's actually not going to be caught up with.
God. Hanskin's done
Mad came in. I feel like he maybe could have tried to juke the trees a little bit, maybe had a little bit of a better chance, but all in all, was in a bad position to begin with. So 1-1.
You're definitely right. I mean, the secret shop area has like 5 different hiding spots within the first 500 distance that you move there. So I think it would have been the better play, but Hanskin, I still, just to get away from that clockwork, I think played it really well. And just maybe a big questionable. He just obviously didn't read the situation, didn't read the distance that the clockwork would be able to move before the TP went out. So.
Well, Mad has not really gotten a lot done this night. I mean, he's been hanging around. He fed one good kill, and now he's hanging around mid trying to make something happen there. But, I mean, he's getting some XP, but the Quap is doing pretty damn well for herself. However, that said, the Lesh is actually right there with her. So, oh, hang on, Ake trying to mana drain. There's going to be another 2-mana spike that'll buy some time, Loda, and Ake just doing one harassment they can. But in that mid matchup, which hero, if either, do you think benefits the most from a good start? Is it the Quap or the Lesh?
So I would say that the Leshrac beats out the Queen of Pain. I believe you have to make a mistake as the Leshrac. One of the biggest things is you're very similar to an SF in that you're very squishy, but you have a lot of magic damage, and you're also a spam-oriented hero, right? Like SF comes forward, raise 1, raise 2. Leshrac does something similar in that he throws out a couple of right clicks, lightnings, and it'll usually hit the Queen of Pain. It's the advantage of the lightning is that you're more likely to hit the enemy hero even if they're ranged than raises. While raises, you just quickly clean up the creep wave real quickly and you can back up the jungle.
Right.
As long as the Leshrac doesn't overextend himself necessarily, and Pycat may actually be caught here.
Pycat, you doing what damage you can. I mean, I think it's a really good call from NiP to not over-pursue there. They could have pursued him out and really tried to aggressively get that kill, but they had no idea what was going to be behind that. The clockwork was not on the map and so on and so on. So they do some damage, but I think in the end a right call.
Yeah, I personally would have led with like trying to go for the body block play and get the heal on yourself and hitting the Leshrac, especially since it did just turn daytime. But NiP are very naturally a cautious team, so I can, again, understand why they would do that, and maybe it is the better call just to play it safe at this point. Jonas Sampan, notice a very notable pickup here. Mango. So I'm not usually going to point out Mango's too often. I think Mango's a little bit overbought, but in this specific instant, it's really good, right? Because he needs 150 mana to be able to get off his combination. What does Mango give you? 150 mana. He's facing up against a Lion who's constantly mana draining him to make sure he doesn't have that call mana. So this Mango is going to allow him to be able to sit on no mana whatsoever and still be a really big threat against the Juggernaut and the Lion.
Well, speaking of big threat, he's doing a great job of disrupting near the jungle, disrupting potentially behind the tower if they decide to go for it. Didn't see what level the Omni is, but he's actually gotten a fair amount of experience because they've been able to play so far forward. Yeah, he's level 5.5. That's wow, big combo! There's that combination, and now they're going to try to turn it around. They should get Seal Kid here, and they will, but certainly going to be a much bigger kill on load there.
Jonas is going to turn it!
He's going to turn, 2-man call. No, he almost got them both, but instead, the greed. Oh, he's actually going to make it away because of Hanskin again. There's going to be a glimpse back now, and Era is there. That's a big rocket barrage. Sonic Wave to help seal the deal. 3-2. NiP in the right place at the right time. Hanskin, the playmaker, coming in, not only saving one of his own teammates, but making that sequence happen. And those are the two cores. They managed to get Loda, and they got the Leshrac. Gigantic sequence for NiP.
And this is the thing, right? Ninjas in Pajamas suffer in this patch because I feel like they're a little bit more of a cautious team who try and make outmaneuvers, necessarily. I think that oftentimes they outdraft and outmaneuver their opponents in order to take wins, and the early point of 6.84 was very much like fight-oriented and didn't really play into NiP's usual roundhouse. That being said, they are very good at team fights. They're usually just more conservative with it, and I think that is the best example of teamwork and communication there. Jonas Sampan, he made the perfect play there. Make that turn was such a good idea. Alliance just had really good reactions, so it didn't make it that effective. But the fact that they made the read and were able to turn that. I mean, it just the mass rotation was obviously caught Alliance out completely, but really good communication from NiP to set that one up.
Well, I think the key word here is follow through. NiP in Game 1 and Game 2, even though they lost Game 1, NiP, this is exactly how they played Alliance and kept them down in the mid-game phases. They would go for a gank. They would try to do something like this. But it wasn't just a, okay, we're going to try to gank and hope it goes well. Maybe if they dive us back to our tower, we'll TP. It's, okay, we're going to go for this gank, and then calling the shot in the middle of the sequence, be like, hey, if you bring people, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to do that. And they're following through and extending these dives and extending these ganks and making them so much more worthwhile in
They
time.
might catch Loda here. Oh, hey, Huntskin is not level 6.
Yep.
He's 60 experience away from being level 6. If they have that, they killed Loda 100%.
No doubt. Well, it's 2-3.
Oh, Bulldog actually locks him inside of the cogs. That's no good. Or maybe it is.
Yep, here comes some TPs in, though, and they should be able to clean him up. They will. It's going to cost them a 1-for-1. That's certainly going to be a win for
bottom lane. They're diving mad here. Jonas Amfan knows there's mass TPs up to the top lane. There's no one to see the Night Stalker, but it is nighttime, and there's no spins for Jonas Amfan.
They're trying to kite it around, and here comes the Queen of Pain. Is she going to be able to jump? No, instead. Oh, there's the Glimpse. Glimpse running back. Kinetic Field got it. Followed up with the Sonic Wave, and down he goes. Another big kill for NiP as they are just trading blow for blow. Give them, I mean, my goodness, what a player.
Steel Kid, ooh, okay. I thought he might just die there. Real quickly, like you Omni Slash, you get the burst damage. You might just kill the Omni Knight before he heals himself or Guardian Angels. But understandably, you don't expect the Omni Knight to be completely alone. And sure enough, Jonas Amfan was rounding the corner quite shortly there. So the better play, Loda just playing it passive.
Well, taking a look at the net worth, thanks in part to some of these kills and thanks in part to just good farming efficiency, we've got NiP on top. The top 3 slots, as a matter of fact, and we can see, okay, sucking what mana he can. There you go, 15 gold for your boy. But they have opened up quite a gap there, and Alliance is falling behind. Fairly, it's troublesome whenever you already have like a Juggernaut and less. You really want to peak in the mid game. Not to say they can't go late, but you really want to see them getting a lot of work done in the mid game. And then the Gyrocopter is right at the top of the net worth. His item development is going to be great if they can keep up this pace for another 7 minutes or so on through to the 20-minute mark.
That ain't the hero you want to run into with your solo smoke gank on a Night Stalker with picking up his level 7. He runs right into the Gyrocopter, the one hero that he really just guaranteed cannot kill as long as, you know, he gets off Rocket Barrage first before the silence. So that's a bit unfortunate there for Alliance. One of the worst things that Alliance position-wise are in is that the Axe on the Night lane went quite well for them, and they managed to take down that tower. This now means that Jonas Amfan takes away your jungle, which is usually a farming point for the Juggernaut and the Leshrac. Leshrac is actually one of the few intelligence heroes who can actually farm that up really effectively. So this is not only going to ensure that Jonas Amfan gets his Blink Dagger and is then able to be the big initiator that he wants to be, but also that he's taking farm away from the Juggernaut and Leshrac.
You make a great point. I mean, just the disruptive power of an axe. But, you know, we always talk about, in us casters for the most part, we talk about team fights. We always want to focus on combat because that's what really, you know, grabs our attention. But just the disruptive nature of an axe and what he can do in a jungle, and even if he's not completely successful, just making sure Alliance has to contest it and spend time doing that. There's a missed hook, by the way, from Bulldog, and that might end up hurting them. There's a Void to follow it up, and Jonas Amfan getting a little too far out front. Steel Kid's going to be there. Guardian Angel, they're going to try to turn it around.
God, what a turn! That was so beautiful.
Oh,
the
good call, and ka-chop! Down he goes. Steel Kid right there. Sonic Wave to come in. Gigantic plays, blowing Alliance out of this bottom lane. And if they're not careful, blowing them out of this entire early game. They get another 3 kills on the board. They're pushing the tier 2. Alliance has got to be scrambling right now. How do you get things back online?
You know, I was looking at that situation going like, you know, Amfan, do you actually want to dodge the hook here? Because you could totally turn this. Oh, Hanskin gonna get blown up right away. Sorry, buddy. No matter how well you play as a disruptor.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, you can't stop that one. So, but yeah, really good read by Steel Kid, first of all, right? So the obvious play would have been Purification first because that's normally what you want to get out of the way because it has a lower cooldown than Guardian's Angel, obviously, right? So you want to try and get 2 Purifications in a fight, but if the Omni Slash is laid down, you want to Guardian Angel first, right? Because you won't hit the Purification on the Juggernaut, guaranteed, and you want to be able to deal with the pure physical force of Omni Slash first with Guardian Angel. It's a very effective way of just countering the damage. So, like, just that small decision-making actually made so much sense, and he managed to hit 3 heroes with the Purification because of it.
Excellent play. NiP capitalizing in more ways than one. Not only are they getting the kills on the enemy heroes, they're taking a big old stack on with Era now, and it's been well stacked, by the way. We're even going to see Jonas and Fawn come over to try and help things out a little bit. The Helm of the Dominator did come out not long ago, so the lifesteal is going to allow him to take this at his leisure. And I'm so impressed with the way NiP has played this out. I mean, they took a heart-wrenching loss in Game 1. They've come out, and, you know, I hate to lay it. It's not just one dimension, but really, Mad has not accomplished much of anything. Like, he's moved around in Night. We've seen him try to make use. He's maxed out his Void, so he's got a little bit of burst potential and so on. But this Night Stalker just has not felt like it's delivered much of any value.
Yeah, I think that Night Stalker, like, I don't think Mad played it badly by any means. I think Night Stalker's just the wrong hero to place up against NiP.
Right.
I think aggression is the right idea, but Night Stalker has a very obvious read on what, like, I would also say Nyx Assassin is a very bad hero to pick up against Ninjas and Pajamas because they're very cerebral in their play. They think about the game quite a bit. They're not going to be caught out by, like, the more obvious rotation timing. So I would say that I think NiP just brilliantly dealt with the Night Stalker, and Mad hasn't really been able to do much since. Usually other teams you can catch out despite the fact his ganking times are a little bit obvious, but NiP are just one of those teams that I think are so conservative and disciplined in their play that they're unlikely to be snowballed against in that regard.
Now, speaking of snowball, they're trying to make that happen. The Glyph is deployed on the Tier 2 mid. They're going to end up trading a Tier 1 for a Tier 1. They took the Tier 1 mid, sacrificing their Tier 1 bottom in order to get it. And they want to force a fight here. I'm pretty sure Axe has a blink. I'm almost positive I saw that picked up. And if he does, yes, he does.
Yeah.
Not just a blink, but a damn Vanguard. So they are ready to fight, and they have no problem just forcing the issue now against the Alliance. Bulldog hanging back near the Tier 3, but really just what else is he going to do? That's going to be a free Tier 2. And now, honestly, there's nothing to stop NiP from just continuing to do this for the next few minutes or so. Their combat potential is so gigantic. They have such a phenomenal mobility, and they have such a great way to punish even a small overextension from Alliance. You know, whenever you're dealing with a disruptor, if Alliance has one hero out of position, suddenly a 5-on-5 becomes a 5-on-4. They have to retreat. They lose another tower, and you have some issues going on. I mean, we haven't seen the best play from Bulldog's Clockwork this game, and he plays a phenomenal Clockwork, but he hasn't been that impactful.
So, small thing there, it's just interesting to me. So, PyCat chose to go for a Treads build, which is fine here. It's just unfortunate. I'm not going to argue against the stats of Treads. I think it's the right idea for this game. That being said, though, PyCat not going for the Arcane Boots into break apart the Bloodstone build actually cost him a lot of tower damage on that Tier 2 because they decided they couldn't really fight Ninjas and Pajamas. PyCat was split pushing, but he ran out of mana. So, at that point in time, he couldn't actually push the last creep wave that was underneath the Tier 2 tower, nor could he use his almost maxed out Diabolic Edict. And that's the other thing I wanted to point out with this is that PyCat did just go for the 2 levels in Split Earth instead of maxing it out. This does give him a lot more pushing power, and this is not a very uncommon build by any means. Most people feel like only 2 levels of Split Earth is necessary, especially if you have some pretty good setup disables, and they obviously do. Night Stalker slow, Lions, slew of disables, and Clockwork obviously one of the best ones.
Going to have a rotation now, moving towards the Radiant side secret shop. 4 are smoked, and 1's got an Invis rune. The one with the Invis is the Queen of Pain. And they're going to go ahead and use the Night Stalker ulti. They're going to double back, and they're going to have a chance to catch at least 1, if not more. And Mad, he's trying to hunt around here, but, they actually went left. This is going to give them a shot at better targets. There's Ake. And to the north of that is the Leshrac. They actually miss on him a little bit. They're going to be able to chase him down with the help of Battle Hunger. And the call there, easy kill. Don't know that that's going to be totally worth their while. We see that Hanskin was trying to track down the Lesh. When all was said and done, they do get the deny on the tower at the very, very least. But yeah, I mean, a 4-man smoke and that much waste of time just to get a support, not always optimal, but at least you kept them from getting the tower, the full tower goal.
Hanskin made the very smart play there. I mean, the first thing he does is run up there immediately to where the Leshrac is most likely to TP out from, lays down the kinetic field, hoping to be able to get the vision for a glimpse last second before the TP completes play. Either way, though, the pressure that they put on, even if they didn't catch the most ideal target, they do get a kill. And they managed to deny the tower, which is pretty important, right? The snowball factor of the Bloodstone coming into play for the Leshrac eventually means that, one, his Bloodstone timing is very important, and after he gets the Bloodstone, ooh, the kill's limp! He's got a Lincoln's! Oh my god, he literally just picked that up before the silence.
Unbelievable play. PyCat caught a little bit out. Let's see if they can pursue this out. And yeah, they're going to get him. They've got him easy. Split Earth, doesn't matter. And that's a big kill, man. And especially a big old dunk is actually a mega kill streak now for Jonathan Fan. And this is really just looking so good for NiP. And you know, and just to come back to the point, you know, you were talking about, and we both kind of made mention of the fact that, you know, just stopping the snowball effect, denying the tower, that's kind of a big deal. But also just keeping Alliance constantly feeling unsafe on the map, making it so they have to constantly adjust themselves and feel like there's always going to be 3 or 4 heroes lurking in the shadows. That in and of itself is a gigantic psychological edge. And yeah, now we're going to see a free Roshan will not be contested, and I feel very good about NiP's chances now that we're solidly into the middle game, into the mid game. I mean, Era's looking great. He's got his BKB very nearly done, if not done. Yeah, it is done, actually. So that's a fresh BKB. If they just decide to start pushing and forcing fights now with that new BKB, well, what the hell can they do?
Jonathan Vaughn just got a deny in the middle tower as well. They're just not getting anything for free here.
Yep.
Every single bit of gold that Alliance gets, they have to scrabble and fight for it. I do agree with you. I think NiP are very far ahead here. Alliance.
Glimpse.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and we haven't even really talked about the fact that, you know, aside from the BKB, they also have an Omni Knight, which means you've got another 8 seconds, potentially, of Magic Community that you're going to be able to put on a Queen of Pain or whoever the hell else you want to.
So, if you look at, like, potential for this game to actually shift dramatically as ninjas in pajamas actually get their full swing and are then able to start pushing down tier 2 towers and such. But at the same time, there's plenty of opportunities for NiP to basically grow this gold lead dramatically, right? Because they're going to be able to take tier 2 towers, influx of gold. Plus, in the meantime, they're also going to be limiting map control from Alliance, which means most likely the only hero that's going to be farming is Juggernaut, maybe Lashrak.
Right.
Definitely not Clockwork Lion in Night Stalker. I don't think they'll find it.
Hello, Loda. Loda got caught. And let's see if they've got enough damage with the spin. Sonic Wave on point. Hello! Another dunk. And that's an unstoppable streak now. Good glimpse. On point as always, Hanskin. Bulldog's going to make it 2 down in about 20 seconds. If that, they're going to take what's left of this stack. Actually, I guess it was just 1. I mean, and that's something, you know, just to build on the point you were making. You know, all they have to do to really continue to snowball and control is they'll do the little things right. Slowly push, don't overextend, make sure that when you go out, you take an objective. Continue stacking the Ancients because you know Gyro's going to be able to take them so easily, especially with the help of Axe. So on and so on. And once again, they find another hero that's bucking mad. And that's actually a really good silence. They're going to get him away because there's no call after that. But either way, the NiP, I mean, I think we've about said it all. They're in great shape, and Alliance, let's flip the script a little bit. What's Alliance got to do to fix it?
Well, they just need to draw out the game because they went for a Battle Fury build on the Juggernaut. Late game is their friend at this point in time. They basically just have to grind this one out and play defense, hoping Ninjas in Pajamas make a mistake trying to push uphill. I would say, like, going back real quickly to the draft, I usually try and point out like the good things of a hero pickup over the bad things, right? Because obviously the pro players know better than I do. They know what they want out of their drafts.
You're pretty legit.
You know, the biggest problem with Juggernaut was that, like, yes, he's good directed physical damage against the Gyrocopter. The problem is you're picking him into a well, the Axe was a perfect pickup against the Juggernaut, but you already have the Queen of Pain out there, right? It was one of their first 1-2 pickups, so it was good for the Gyrocopter, but the Sonic Wave damage is pure, and that is actually a really big factor against the Juggernaut. So I don't know. I feel like there are just too many things set against the Juggernaut at this point in time with already going into the Queen of Pain, and then you combine that with the synergy of the Axe. So he brings the Juggernaut low, and then you've got both the Call, physical damage, and the Culling Blade to be able to ensure. I mean, there's no situation he lives, I think.
Okay, caught, brought down. Easy peasy. And Ake's having a rough one. That's a good game for Quap, though. She's sitting at 3-0-6 right now, and yep. Alliance just seems to always be running, and it's hard to blame them. It's just such a tough game for them right now. And like you said, drawing it out is easier said than done, though. I mean, you're talking about a melee hero in the Juggernaut, which does have some options in terms of how to get close. He certainly has some help, but the Leshrac is solidly in the middle of the pack right now in terms of net worth. He's actually the most farmed on the side of Alliance, but he's still falling behind by about 1,000 gold to the cores of NiP. And, you know, Lesh, if you want to run a core Lesh, it just seems like to really get maximum value, he needs to be ahead because he is an excellent flash farmer. And we're just not seeing that right now.
I do want to really give credit to Limp's item choices here. I wasn't sure, like, the Lincolns came in at such a right time, right? As the gank was happening, it was like, wow, that item is an amazing pickup. But if I had seen Lincolns being built, I probably would have gone, okay, yeah, it's a good pickup for sure, like it's solid, but I'm just surprised we're not seeing the Aghanims build, which, you know, tanks you up, and the, you know, upgrade to the Sonic Wave just makes you even better against the Juggernaut. I would have just expected that's a natural build, but I think that Limp, you know, going for the Lincoln Sphere, as I was thinking about it more and more, I think it really was the best play, especially since Ninjas and Pajamas were already ahead, right? You want to make sure that you don't feed away those pickoffs, especially since they are worth so much gold if there's a disparity in that top net worth. And Limp obviously knew, okay, I'm very much so closer to that top net worth. If I'm feeding away kills to, say, the Night Stalker who's making that rotations, Night Stalker can actually make a serious comeback into the game, potentially get that Aghanim Scepter, be a hard hero to deal with, makes him even tankier against the Gyrocopter, soaking up that rocket barrage damage. I mean, there's so many factors that the Night Stalker could have actually been much more successful, but him going for the Lincolns not only prevents that, it prevents the Lion as well. You know Ake is going to be able to pick up a relatively fast Blink Dagger no matter what, so now there's no play for him to be able to jump in and get the Hex onto him, and then combined, there's a lot of synergy with the Omni Knight as well. I mean, how do you actually get somebody who's repelled and Lincolns?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and, you know, what we were both worried about with the Omni Knight pick was how could it be abused early on, and it just wasn't, flat out. I mean, they tried, but NiP just played it much better than Alliance, and now this is where Omni lives, you know, talking mid-game, talking at taking heroes that are so dependent on immunity, like a Queen of Pain and so on, and just basically saying, yeah, I'm just going to give you 4,000 gold free, ostensibly, because I can be a permanent BKB for you, and you don't have to worry you're never going to go down to 5 seconds. And Alliance, they've got the team and the composition to take it late. But if NiP continues to play at the level they are right now, I don't know if they're going to get the chance.
Yeah. And, I mean, look at the things that Limp is doing after he picks up the Lincolns, right? So he's playing it, I would say he's playing, like, very aggressively in his positioning because he's got, like, Omni Knight, Repel, and Lincoln. So he's running around pretty much unkillable, like, completely unkillable. And I don't think there's a single situation the Alliance has where they do actually, like, 5-man smoke into the Queen of Pain with Repel and Lincoln's on, and they actually somehow kill her. It would have to be, like, some sort of, like, she blinks forward and Repel is running out sort of thing. Oh, they're going to catch Mad in the middle lane.
Bucking Mad once again in some trouble, and it's nighttime, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Dunkaroo as the Honest Man continues to stack the kills. He's actually hasn't died at all this game. He's been involved in 11 of the 14 kills NiP has tallied in total. And, I mean, he has just been I mean, really, like, if we had to pick an MVP right now, it's got to be him. And it's one thing to just be like, yeah, he's playing Axwell, but he's making good decisions. He's in the right place at the right time. He's actually doing a lot of good stuff like that, you know, canceling calls in the middle of it whenever he can tell he's not going to hit it. And once again, Hanskin's just kind of a beast, setting up another dunk. Monster kill streak for Giannis and Fan, and I got nothing, man.
Hanskin Disruptor.
Yeah, it's good.
Respect Bannett,
it's
man.
So
Respect
good.
Bannett. I mean, I can't believe they managed to pick it up in the 2-3 area, but Alliance are sitting in a very precarious position, and it just gets harder and harder, right? They have to offensively push out in that top lane. They got caught, but that's what they have to do, right? Because it goes back to what I was talking about for the Queen of Pain. He picked up the Link, he's running around with the Repel, he grabbed a gem, right? So now he's just offensively, like, he's just running around the map,
right,
very aggressively, knowing that he can't die, and he's going to be able to keep this gem. Like, there's a lot of value in a gem that you know can't be taken away from you, essentially. Right. So he just runs around the map, finds as many wards as humanly possible. Alliance now have no vision. They're feeling very claustrophobic. They're stuck inside their base, or in order to get outside of the base, they have to make rather risky plays by, like, pushing out that top lane where they ended up getting caught. And now it gets even riskier. Hanskin's got a Blink Dagger, so he no longer needs the vision of Queen of Pain to blink forward and get that kind of positioning. He can actually do it himself for the free pickoff and maybe even trade his life in the process, but that's fine. If he can blink forward offensively and catch the Leshrac, particularly, I think think is one of the best ones because Leshrac doesn't have the BKB. Pycat went for the Blink Dagger instead.
Yeah, I was going to ask what you think about that.
I think they have to take certain risks.
Yeah.
They have to make certain initiation plays.
Mad in trouble again in mid. Yep, forced out getting back to safety. And Bulldog there to drop the cogs. Nope, they're going to continue to chase it down. Sonic Wave, hello! And that's another dominating streak. This time it's for the Queen of Pain. Bulldog's next on the list. I don't even know. Like, every time it looks like Alliance is beginning to move out onto the map, they're punished so badly.
Yeah.
And they're ready to go high ground. And Era took another big stack in the meantime. We're talking a 12K gold lead in excess of, as a matter of fact, 31 minutes. How do you even fight? I mean, you can't fight without the clock. Clock is the only way that you can reliably try to take a fight here. With him down, you cannot fight. This is probably, I mean, this is good plays, trying to split push and so on, but you're losing, you're giving up a tier 3 and probably a Rax for a couple of outer tier towers.
Yeah, it's just like the tiny play from last game. You can't actually save anything, so the best play is probably just to give it up and take as much as you can in return. So the tier 2 at the bottom lane. Oh, they actually make an initiation. Surprised they're really going for this. I don't think they have the power at all.
No, I think they're just trying to delay it. And, wow, they actually ran them off before both racks dropped. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm a little surprised they haven't just flat out initiated onto them. There's a Shiva's complete on the axe, and that zones him out enough for him to take one last swipe at the building and knock it down. So that's going to be a set of racks down in mid. In the meantime, Alliance tried to make the best of a bad situation, grab 2 outer tier towers, just trying to keep themselves alive. And they didn't, by the way, no one has buyback. That's like, how rare is it to see that at this stage of the game where they're also gold starved and all having to continue to try to get up their core items that they just can't even afford the luxury of banking for buyback.
Yeah, again, I think it just goes back to they have to take certain risks, right? So Pycat has to invest in the idea that I survived through the fight with my first life. And that's why he invested into the Ghost Scepter. Like, the Blink Dagger is a really good split pushing play. I think it's the best idea for him to aggressively put pressure down. He's got to have, like, if you get a BKB, 1, it's really expensive, and 2, you're going to be using it constantly against the Disruptor. He's going to force you into using it every single time you go for a split push play. The Blink Dagger, at least you can quickly, like, get in there, burst down the wave, and run yourself away, or vice versa, right? You quickly burst down the wave and then blink out before the Disruptor is there to get the glimpse out. So either way, like, it just gives you that kind of vision play that BKB doesn't offer you, and the BKB obviously will go down in value over time as you lose charges, while the Blink Dagger is just kind of like always the same. So the Big Ted loss of vision usually means that Roshan is going to go the way of Ninjas of Pajamas pretty much anyway, but also they have superior team fight and just superior odds in these 5 versus 5s that Alliance wouldn't take it, even if they did have immediate knowledge that Roshan was going down.
Scotty's done on Era, by the way. That's how unbelievably well he's doing. I mean, that tanks him up. It makes it so hard for them to even try to engage. It actually really makes life hard on Loda and Pycat. Those are heroes who need to be able to bounce around the fight. Same to a certain extent with Bucking Mad. And, yeah, there's a free Aegis going the way of Gyro. One set of racks is down. They can basically call their shot now. They can shove out top, head bottom, or just run straight to bottom. And they may do that as soon as they take this one last little stack on the of the Ancients on their own side. But this has just been a phenomenally played game. Even now, a Blink Dagger, talk about luxury items. Blink Dagger up on Seal Kid just because, hey, you know, I'd much rather have that mobility and make sure I stay alive in these fights. And Pycat trying to dig himself a hole in the trees and trying to lay a trap, I suppose.
Yeah, they gotta hope to get some sort of pick off here. Otherwise, this top lane's gonna be pushed out. Bottom's already being pushed out, and same goes with the middle lane. So if he doesn't like get a quick pick off and then manages to put more pressure on that top lane, force more rotations up there, they're gonna lose their map control, and that's exactly what's about to happen. The top lane's gonna be pushed in. They're desperately gonna push out bottom lane. Pycat's already up to that, but I think that Ninjas of Pajamas have significantly corralled Alliance enough that they'll be able to take this tier 2 in the top lane without trading anything away. Nope. If they do, it'll be Pycat making an aggressive blink play with a Diabolic Edict because the tier 2 tower is already low.
I don't think they're going to care to trade at this point. Like I'm a little surprised they're trailing 3 there. I feel like they really could just take a run at the tier 2 and then just go ahead and push for racks on top.
I think somebody just like expected to push down the wave survived a really long time, so that actually stalls up their push significantly, which does allow Pycat to take this tier 2.
I don't think they're going to care about that.
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. Hanskin, I think there was a little bit of indecision there from
NiP. I don't know why they sent Hanskin there.
You either like push down that tier 2 faster, I really thought they could have got there. Also, your disruptor should kind of be already set up. In fact, I think the best play is Hanskin actually already being in front of that tier 2 tower and reveals himself to the Leshrac. Right? It says, hey, you can't get this tier 2 tower without being punished, so don't even try.
Right.
And at that point in time, he doesn't need backup because most likely Pycat isn't going to make that play. Now, actually, maybe he would. As you can see, Pycat is actually thinking that, yeah, Disruptor is entirely alone, and he doesn't have any backup, and maybe that's just because it's daytime and they see so many NiP heroes at top.
Well, Lesh is going to show himself again. NiP is pushing on the tier 2 in top lane. And Alliance has loaded there. Loda is building into a Diffusal Blade, by the way. Didn't even notice that Quap had a Manta style, so that's fun. And, yeah, NiP continues to be in the driver's seat. Alliance is doing a pretty good job of making it a little bit more risky, not necessarily in terms of losing kills, but losing towers and a little bit of map control.
I'm sorry, was the last time that Manta was picked up, you stats person? I'm not sure who's with us. Early 2013?
We'll get the answer on that.
That's pretty awesome. I'm just like sitting there like looking at it going like, wow, Manta, man. I mean, so the most ideal scenario is here that the Manta gets rid of the silence and soaks up the Juggernaut Omni Slash at the same time.
Oh, ooh.
Not sure if it's worth the investment or not, but Lip has already
engaging on the Yonason fan. Let's see if they can finish him off. Got him down to about a quarter health. They got him. Yeah. That's a big kill. That's a huge pick off.
If they can get out successfully.
That's 1,000 gold swing on that kill. Nope, never mind. No, Pycat does make it away. Lack of stun, rather, cost them badly. If we can, let's take a look at the fight recap. There's a lot. Yeah, exactly. That's a 2,000 gold swing when all is said and done. And that's gigantic. So.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I was about to say, I was like, I thought I saw a Manta before that, but then again, like, it's hard to say that just because it's such an unusual play. Yeah, I mean, like, Limp has already showcased that he's willing to put a lot more emphasis on him not dying than him picking up like potential counterplays against, like, the Juggernaut, right? So if you get, like, Aghanim Scythe of Ice, right, you have the offensive counter to him, but he's obviously showcased he's willing to play around with the defensive possibilities, and I think that's probably smart play when you are ahead like that. But I think I would really have to get other pros' opinions on it, just to see what they think of how the way Limp is playing this, and if defensive, like just making sure you pretty much have no chance of dying is the best play to use your advantage with.
Speaking of, they're using the repel on Gyrocopter right now. Pycat has really been the saving grace. Split pushing with the Leshrac is really what slowed NiP down. As for all intents and purposes outside of that, they have had the chance and the firepower to try to close this game out, but it's just been so risky for them. And this is what Alliance excels at. They're just really good at splitting the map up and putting you in a situation where you have to choose to try to commit, and if you commit and you guess wrong, you can end up losing a lot more than you gain.
Right.
It looks like NiP is quite happy to stick and try to siege this tier 3, at least for the moment, but the Aegis did just expire, so going to be a little more risky for them. There's the Lincoln's popped it, and look like Loda wanted to take a run at it. He props the BKB. There's going to be a hook in. Caught him, forced that back out. And that's just going to be a delay tactic. There's going to be a glimpse back as well. Can they follow it up? Bulldog glimpse back. And once again, Hanskin just doing the work. There's going to be a good call. They got mad with it. Call down's going to be there. Sonic Wave only got one, but it's the only one they needed. Loda trying to do whatever he can, using that spin as best as he can. He can't do anything. He's dead.
Force stab. That actually might have saved it. Oh, glimpse.
Glimpse. Hello. That's called an alley-oop, by the way. When you glimpse it back into a dunk, that's an alley-oop. And well played from NiP. They bring him down. Still a lot of work to be done, as we do have the buyback out of Loda. So it's going to be a costly defense, but they may be able to keep their rack standing.
Yeah, that was, I think, Bulldog just like forgetting about the fact he was playing against a Disruptor, and Mike just got caught again.
Man, Hanskin on point. Hello, another dunk. Slam City and
they just forced 2 buybacks. Normally you would be like, all right, let's be happy to back up, and yet then they find another pickoff on the Clockwork, that's a dieback. So now they're going to be able to take the racks as well here, or at least force a 4 versus 5.
Well, they just have such body, and good 2-man call. There's going to be another call down. Guardian, oh my goodness, Alliance melting in a hail of bullets. The Guardian Angel on the shoulder of Ninjas in Pajamas. Triple kill for Era. Buyback on Lesh. Don't know that it's going to be enough as Loda's down for the count. Bulldog still 30 seconds out, and there's no real dedicated stuns left outside of Split Earth. That's going to be another set of racks. 2 down, and it looks like Alliance's minutes are numbered. another fantastic glimpse back. Mad's going to end up dying while he's caged in the pin, and we can see Pycat doing what he can. Doesn't matter. GG, well played. By the time all said and done, 30 kills were tallied, 25 of which belonged to NiP. Hell of a game, and they split the series 1-1.
Yeah, that was a great game for NiP, and I'm really happy that they showed us such a dominant display of force, because I really think that NiP would come out in a best-of-3 against Alliance, and that's why I called a tie here in this two-game series. I really felt they were going to be able to pull it off.